There are moments in life when the deepest instinct of a mother or a father is to help, to go, to protect, to rescue. It is in our blood, in our ancestral memory, in every fiber of our body. Since that small being came into the world, every heartbeat told us, care for him, feed him, console him. But there comes a point where that natural impulse can turn into an obstacle, into a prison, into a shadow. From my vision as Carl Jung, there are moments in which not helping your child is not abandonment, but love in its highest form. Because there are pains that must not be avoided, but rather crossed. And there are lessons that are only learned when the soul faces its destiny alone. The human soul does not mature in comfort. It is forged in the fire of contradiction, in the anguish of decisions, in the vertigo of being wrong, over decades of working with the unconscious. I have seen how overprotection prevents the self, the deepest and most authentic center of being, from emerging with strength. It is not about ceasing to love, but about loving with awareness, about knowing when to act and when to step back, when to say I am here and when to allow silence to show the other their own reflection. Here I present 5 crucial moments in which you must not help your child. If what you desire is to form a whole and free human being, the first moment is when your child is facing the consequences of their actions. The unconscious organizes itself through symbol, and every consequence is a symbol of inner order. If your child lies and loses the trust of others, they must feel that loss. If they spend all their money and cannot pay their bills, they need to experience the emptiness, the frustration, the limit. Helping them at that moment only hinders their psychic integration. It is like cutting a butterfly from its cocoon to soon, its wings do not develop. The pain of consequence is the chisel that carves character, and if you intervene, your child will not learn to assume authorship of their own life. The second moment in which you should avoid helping them is when their pain is pushing them toward a necessary transformation. There are tears that cleanse the soul. There are dark nights that reveal the inner light. If you interrupt them in that process, you rob them of the alchemy. Not all suffering is destructive. Some sufferings are the fire that burns masks, that dissolves false identities, that opens the path to the true self. In the language of the soul, that is called individuation. It is the process by which we become who we truly are. Let them go through it. Stay close, but do not interfere. Because every time we heal too quickly, we lose the opportunity to be reborn with more depth. The third moment is when they are confused about who they are and what they want. It is normal to want to give them direction, to advise, to share your experience. But if you do it too soon, you only insert your own desires into their path. Remember that every soul has a personal myth, a secret narrative it must discover for itself. If your child is lost, let them be lost. Let them walk without a map for a while. It is in that disorientation where the soul often finally hears its own voice. And that voice does not sound like yours. It is unique, sacred. If you help them too much, they may become the copy of your life, and not the author of their own. The fourth moment is when they ask you for something that goes against your deepest values. This is where many mothers and fathers fall. Out of fear of losing their child's love, they give in. But your soul also has a truth. And if you betray it to please, you teach that love is obtained through the sacrifice of authenticity. That is not love, that is codependency. Your child needs to see that you also have limits, integrity, courage to uphold your truth. That inspires more than 1,000 favors. You are showing them that it is possible to love without nullifying oneself. That one can say no and still be present. that mature love does not always say yes, but it always says the truth. The fifth moment in which you must not help is when you already know, deep in your intuition, that they are only manipulating your guilt, because many children, not out of malice, but from unhealed wounds, learn to use guilt as a tool. If you loved me, you would do this for me. You are the cause of my problems. But you did not come into the world to be anyone's hostage, not even your child's. You came to be a free soul, and your child needs to see that in order to find their own freedom. When you refuse to yield to guilt, you are cutting a transgenerational pattern. You are freeing not only them, but also yourself. You are showing that love is not based on blind sacrifices, but on conscious encounters. Not helping is not abandoning. It is trusting. It is looking at your child with the eyes of the soul and saying in silence, I believe in you. I believe in your ability to fall and get back up. I believe in your inner wisdom. I believe in your destiny, even if you don't see it yet. That invisible faith is the greatest gift you can give, because beyond gestures, what transforms is the gaze, and a gaze that trusts is a lighthouse that shines even in the darkest night. So, mother, father, do not be afraid to say no. Do not be afraid to withdraw when the moment comes. Do not be afraid to let your child face their dark night, because in that apparent emptiness, something sacred is happening. The soul is awakening, and there is no greater gift than that. As I once said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, and that is only possible when we stop saving and begin to accompany, with respect, with presence, with true love.